Alright, let's start with a question that might sound simple, but stick with me here. When was the last time you completely changed your mind about something you thought you hated? Like, seriously hated? Maybe it was a food, a hobby, or a sport. For today's story, it's rugby. And this isn't just about one person's redemption arc, it's about how reimagining sports culture might actually save the game itself. Let me tell you about Matthew Pearson. Dude's 40, lives in King's Lynn, and spent his school years dreading rugby because he was always picked last. Classic story, right? Cliquey teams, toxic masculinity, the whole no place for outsiders vibe. But now? He drives an hour every week to play with Cambridge Yales, a gay and inclusive rugby team that launched earlier this year. Wait, why does this matter? Because rugby, historically, has been one of those sports where being openly LGBTQ+ felt like a one-way ticket to isolation. And yet here's a team that's not just surviving but thriving, with 40 players showing up weekly. So what's the secret sauce here? In my opinion, this isn't just about rugby. It's about how we've been thinking about community all wrong. Traditional sports clubs often act like exclusive clubs, literally. You've got to know the right people, fit the mold, or risk feeling like an outsider. But what Cambridge Yales is doing? They're flipping the script. They're not just allowing people in, they're building a space where being different is the norm. That student nurse Matthew Pearson? He admits he knew nothing about rugby before joining. But now he's hooked. Why? Because the coaches and teammates aren't gatekeeping. They're teaching, laughing, and most importantly, not weaponizing tradition to exclude. Here's a detail I find fascinating. The team's co-founder Alex Meredith had never even seen a rugby game before starting the club. How wild is that? He didn't let imposter syndrome stop him, instead, he leaned into it. And that's the whole point, right? Inclusive sports aren't about perfection, they're about possibility. They're for the people who were told they didn't belong, because they didn't fit a mold. Think about that. How many potential athletes have we lost because the culture was too rigid to welcome them? But wait, why rugby? Out of all sports, why is this one the battleground for inclusivity? Personally, I think it's because rugby's identity is built on tradition. Think of those old-school team bonding rituals, the hyper-masculine locker room culture, the way the sport's history is often weaponized to resist change. So when a team like Cambridge Yales emerges, it's not just a feel-good story, it's a revolution. They're rewriting the rules of what rugby can be. And that's why other inclusive teams across East England are popping up like mushrooms after rain. 6 clubs now, all challenging the idea that sports have to be exclusive to be elite. What many people don't realize is that this isn't just about LGBTQ+ inclusion, it's about accessibility. The Yale's members include first-time players, former outcasts, and even people who didn't know rugby could be fun. That 28-year-old guy Jonathan House? He thought rugby wouldn't appeal to him until he experienced the team's vibe. That's the power of a welcoming environment. It's not just changing lives, it's changing perceptions. And honestly, maybe that's the sport's best hope for survival. Because if rugby wants to stay relevant, it needs to stop clinging to its dusty old playbook and realize that the future isn't about exclusion, it's about expansion. So here's my closing thought. What if the real taboo isn't being openly gay in sports, but refusing to evolve? The Cambridge Yales aren't just playing rugby, they're proving that when you build a community on acceptance instead of tradition, you create something way more powerful than a team. You create a movement. And that's the kind of story that makes me wonder, what other hated things could we rediscover if the culture around them finally changed? Let me know in the comments. Maybe your hated thing is just waiting for the right team to make you fall in love with it all over again.